Adventurers! We're back. This is the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is your host, Tom. I've got Lotus here with me, and we are officially in Spooptober. That's my favorite month of the year because we got spooky stuff. And Lotus, we've already been talking about daedric creatures, but this totally makes sense to roll this into Spooptober stuff, right?
We've just been ahead of the season, just like every single business in the United States.
We started celebrating 2 months ago.
Yep. We started promptly after the 4th of July, getting right into the spook.
Nice. Yeah, some of the places I've gone recently,
all
like
creepy stuff.
Seeing like decorations in like restaurants and stuff. I love it. It's good stuff. But this week we're talking about 3 new creatures. Last week we focused on a big one. This week there are 4 new creatures.
Yeah, 3, possibly 4. It seems like they're condensed enough that we can probably do 4.
Yeah, the last one is a little baby little baby one. But here, let's kick this off. We are starting today talking about the Grievous Twilights. And remember, we're going alphabetically through these. And the Grievous Twilights, and all of this information, as usual, comes from the UESP. It's our wiki of choice and a wonderful place to start with the information, and then we'll expand on it. Grievous Twilights are large, intelligent, winged daedra that are a corruption of the winged Twilights. They have clawed limbs, black horns, bluish-purple skin, glowing blue eyes, spiked tails, and possess the ability to teleport, making them formidable foes. You don't say. Imagine coming across anything with all of those features that can also teleport.
That's a lot of benefits in combat.
Yeah, like this is you're not getting away from it kind of bad guy here. Yeah, they have a brutish masculine form, and unlike winged Twilights, their wings are separate limbs from their arms. This is like the dragon versus wyvern. Dilemma here, right? They're in the dragon camp.
It was a very, very long time ago, right around the launch of Elsewhere. I believe in the season of the dragon in Elder Scrolls Online, because right after I had joined the show that I now co-host, Tales of Tamriel, and we had a huge debate on that. People are in very different camps, and our end result was that we just need to call them W dragons.
W dragons. I think they're all draganoids.
So it just covers both of them.
Yeah, but anyway, this one goes on. This one looks more like a big gargoyle, to Rob's point in the chat.
Yeah.
They're often found serving Molag Bal, which is going to be a theme for today's episode. But they can, it's a theme for most of these episodes. Let's be honest.
Horrible nightmare creatures. Molag Bal. So there's a definite correlation.
Right. But they can also be found under Nocturnal. When they teleport, they disappear in a shroud of black mist, which can sometimes be seen traveling to where they'll reappear, which is a fun gameplay mechanic to know where they're going.
Yeah.
It is suspected that their teleportation is a form of shadow magic, along with the shadow bolts they fire at opponents. Their cold claws are clammy to the touch. I wonder who lived long enough to document that.
Who's caressing their cuticles to find that out?
I have no idea. And smell of brimstone. They got close enough to know what they smell like. And can be used with ritual wine to create ash that can apply protective wards to everyday objects. So if you want to protect those fancy pairs of shoes, better get yourself some Grievous Twilight claws.
Perfect. I'll make sure to put that on my shopping list.
Right. It goes on. It says wards made from Grievous Twilight claws will induce great pain in any daedra who attempts to interact with the warded object. So it's particularly good against warding against daedra.
That's kind of handy.
Yeah. They are typically associated with Molag Bal. Vampire clans such as the Grey Host and Thorn Legion make use of spectral blood Twilights, which have unique blood magic capabilities or abilities, and they show up in a number of different places, and I have some pictures here. I'm going to put these up on screen right now for everybody to take a look at. These are obviously directly from the UESP, but it's a nice collection. We've got an armored Grievous Twilight here, looking like he's marching around the Imperial City. This is one that's almost Dramothra-like. It's got stuff.
It's interesting that this one is shown, because I'm curious. Now, this is going to get a little in the weeds, but something. So the first one you just showed, the one that's in the Imperial City, I'm pretty sure that's a specific photo of Baron Thirsk, which is one of the Wandering World bosses. But I don't think there's much other than he's just a baron, I guess. I don't. We're not going to necessarily delve into that. I don't have any deep lore to that, but just like so he's a Wandering World boss. He kind of like epitomizes what we're talking about. The one that's up right now for anybody that can see the video version, we'll do our best to explain it for the audio version. Is this Grievous Twilight has the Dramothra like black electric skin overlay. Mm-hmm. This specifically is like Rakat, which is the final boss of the Maw of Lorcage. So I'm not sure if like, is that form specifically picked for that reason, or was it a model that they just happened to have and wanted to use?
It's a good question.
Like, it's just kind of an interesting idea just because I'm not entirely sure, like, was there reason behind that form being chosen for Rakat in that, or was it just like, you can have Dramothra versions of lots of stuff. So
yeah, we talked about that on the Dramothra.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, the Dramothra episode. I don't know. Maybe there's a deeper. Sometimes the development team has an explanation, like that they know of why they chose or designed a thing a certain way, but it isn't necessarily stated in any of the quest lines or the books you read or whatever. So
yes.
I don't know.
So it was just kind of worth like noting that that's the only version that I can think of that's got a Dramothra related version is very specifically tied into Lorcage and the trial that you go through with that type of thing.
Right.
As opposed to I can't think of I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not remembering one, but like even in that photo, that is very specifically Rakat. So it's like, I'm not sure there's any other examples of that.
Right. It may be the only one that looks like that, but it very much is specifically a Dramothra style or Dramothrud creature.
Oh, a Dramothrid.
It's been Dramothrid. We have the Blood Twilight one here. It's all glowy and red looking.
Yep. Yeah, it's holographic. You can kind of just see through it. It literally looks translucent and liquidy, like it's made of blood.
Yeah,
you experience a bunch of those in the Castle Thorn dungeon in Elder Scrolls Online. Once again, that's where those are from.
Yep. The animus of a Grievous Twilight, looking all transparent and kind of glowy, kind of ghost-like.
Yeah.
There's ghosty. That one. This is the teleporting mist. It's just a big blob of black smoke. And the concept art. They even have the concept art here, which looks really cool. I mean,
the concept art is actually really awesome.
Scary looking demon thing with like big old wings.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I definitely recommend checking out at bare minimum the UESP just for like a still frame of it type of thing.
Yeah. So cool stuff. For the most part, that's the details we have on these. They're kind of these big summoned monsters that just act like bosses in some of the dungeons or whatever, or just
it's a guardian, so to speak, for whatever reason.
Yeah, big old minions. So those are the Grievous Twilight. Let's move on to our second one for today, the Harvester. Harvesters are intelligent four-armed daedra who primarily serve, guess who? That's right, Molag Bal.
Oh my God. I was trying to think of all the varieties of people that we could say that it relates to. Or just Molag Bal again. You'll notice the trend.
Yep. Their duty among his servants is to preside over sacrifices or the stealing of souls. They are known to feed on souls and magicka. They act alone and care little for concepts such as societal rank, unlike the Dremora. So they don't work like a civilized group of daedra, like the more intelligent ones like Dremora, but they are still intelligent.
Yeah.
Harvesters have a torso of a woman and the body of a serpent. So we got this kind of serpentine, almost Medusa-like thing going on with them. I was about to say,
very, very Medusa-like image, a little less actual, like physically snake-like, because they're not green. They definitely have the Molag Bal Cold Harbor hue to them.
Yeah. And we'll show some pictures in a little bit.
Yep.
It goes on and says they have piercing blue eyes, just like their master. Oh, his beautiful piercing blue eyes.
Created in his image.
Barbed gauntlets adorn their waists, matching their harsh spikes running down their backs and their frilled crown of horns atop their heads. Dark dark plates of ebony are fused to their skin, kind of like little pieces of armor that are just part of their bodies. Though they do have some measure of intelligence, their lack of culture or language places them below the Dremora and daedric hierarchy, but they don't even care. They don't care about that at all. It goes on. It says, despite having many arms, their hands are not as suited for wielding blades as one might think. Instead, harvesters opt to utilize the arts of conjuring and illusion. Illusion. I should say it like that from now on.
Perfect.
Illusion magic.
Illusion magic.
Illusion. They possess the ability to tear a mortal soul straight from its body. Harvesters, I think that's probably why they're called harvesters.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Also, cannot be comfortable.
No, not at all. I don't think that feels good in any way. Harvesters feast on mortal vitality using their powerful sorcery. Said vitality appears in the form of dark orbs that emerge from the victims and gravitate toward the harvesters. When broken, these orbs will return the victim's strength. So there is some hope there. Usually they serve Molag Bal, but also Hircine, Mehrunes Dagon, and Sanguine. You can see them around a little bit.
Don't get me wrong, like I get it, it's for gameplay reasons, but it is kind of funny just like on the sapping the vitality of mortals. It's very interesting because again, it's designed for gameplay mechanics, so this is a little bit of like lore mixed in with a gameplay thing, but it's just kind of funny to think about logically. So these things in combat, they can tether to you briefly, and it kind of like stuns you, and these orbs form outside you guys, like, several meters away, and they slowly just like go toward the harvester, and then it absorbs them and basically takes out, it takes your health from the player and gives it to the harvester, unless you break them, and then it goes back to you. It just seems...
So you're saying, wait, so you're saying that they suck a lot?
Yes.
But very slowly.
But very slow.
They're pretty sucky. Sorry, go on.
What? Why form the herb so far away so there's a chance for somebody to break them?
Gameplay mechanics.
Why set them 8 meters away? Why not literally just be like, okay, and the orb is in my hand and I've already got it.
And now I just put it in my mouth and done. Or whatever.
Just eat it.
Just eat it. Nom, nom, nom.
Yeah, it is funny because obviously it's a gameplay thing. You need to have some type of counter to it or whatever. But it's just funny to think of as a concept. It's like, ooh, yeah, all right, we're going to take your health. We're going to put it way over there. And now I'm going to slowly bring it toward me. It's like...
Right.
Probably should have spent a couple extra points in Magicka to make your illusion spell.
Illusion. Yeah.
Spun that orb a little closer by.
It's like playing like a modern game where like you're coming across the boss bad guy and he has a gun, but instead of like you come through the door and he just opens up fire and he's like, hold on a moment, I need to reload while you slowly get closer to me. Yeah. It's like, why give you the chance? Like,
yes, and let's have a discussion about all my evil plans before we actually fight each other.
Yeah. Rob asks a question: have we seen harvesters outside of ESO? I don't believe so.
Specifically, harvesters only seem to be a creation that came out in Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah. And we've got some pictures here. Let's talk. We've got the black harvester. That one looks very happy. Its mouth is agape and glowing. We've got the celestial harvester. This is another one of those ghost-looking ones. We have the Dagonic. I'm sorry. I was just Dragonic. Daegonic harvester. This is one of the red ones moving around.
Oh, that one's
lava.
Wearing like a Dagon skin.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like
straight up like the other one was wearing a Molag Bal skin. This one's got a Dagon skin. All right.
Yep. The harvester casting a spell. This is with the like magic glowy hand bits. The concept art, again, very cool. Some of the concept art is just their art team is so good.
It's very good. And to Rob's point of have we seen these outside of ESO, and the answer being no, it's kind of funny because every now and then, and this one specifically, I could be totally off base with this, but just like aesthetically the way it looks constructed, it almost looks like it was, how can we create a new creature out of things that have partially been in the series? Because
they draw daedric Legos, like they're taking like
okay, so we've got a dark seducer, and we have like oh, we have these like serpent things because spoiler alert, back in Arena, there were just straight up Medusas. Those were the enemies you fought.
But then there's Lamia, right? Like the Lamia with the serpent tails.
So it's like, so it seems like it's just like, well, how can we have like a dark version of this? And it's like, instead of just having generic Medusas in the series anymore, it's like, okay, well, we got Lamias out of Medusas, and it seems like the other variant almost, maybe it was like, okay, well, what's the daedric version? Okay, we form it into like a harvester.
Yeah, we'll give it some Mayburn's Dagon arms. We'll give it some spiky horns on top of his head, like so many other daedra already have. We get a Lamia tail. And then it can cast weird magic and suck souls like other stuff.
So that's why I feel like this thing formed out of previous games, but was.
What if it was a weird, like, oh my god, like a mating experience, like weird, like because it is Molag Bal. Molag Bal's like, you two do it, and then it was like, okay, you two do it, and then like generations of that turned into one of these.
A pair of dinosaur toys, and he's just Molag Bal's just like smashing
them together, and all of a sudden a baby pops out, and he's like, "Oh,
make Daedra,
different Daedra. Now you do it. This one, squish, squish. Oh, another Daedra,
squish.
Right? They just squish them all together.
There we go. We solved it. That's how Daedra had actually formed.
That's it. That's Molag Bal's process solved.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Now everybody's taking a break to vomit. So that's the Harvester. Again, not much else other than, hey, this thing useful in dungeons and fun monster to fight against and all of that. Molag likes to watch, says Ross in chat. This is an M-rated podcast all of a sudden.
Gross.
Tell you what, why don't we give that a break and go thank our patrons, and we'll be right back.
This is Miss Morak, Dragonborn, and you are educating yourself to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show, and we got some new patrons to welcome. Welcome to Jonathan S. Jonathan. Messed that up. Aliox, maybe Aliox. I think that's maybe how you pronounce that one.
I would not rely on me for any of this.
Wraith, interesting name, and JB. Welcome to the Patreon. Thank you for signing up. And
Thanks,
we have
everybody.
to shout out our Daedric princes, Kira C and Shiogoroth Sweetroll, who get shout outs every week because they signed up at that tier. And thanks to all 119 of our current patrons. You all make this possible. So thank you very, very much for your support. I hope you are enjoying your ad-free episodes, the t-shirts you get every 3 months, joining us on Patreon chats, a bunch of different things that you can get for the different tiers. So head over to patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast in order to check out all the different things you can get and sign up in order to help the show. Also, Lotus, we have a new review that came in. Wait, we might have read this. Did we read this one before? It's from Lifessa. Do you remember this? I think.
Oh, yes.
Did we read this last week?
I mean, I just know Lifessa.
Oh, you know Lifessa.
I don't know.
I don't think we read this from
They stopped by my
last week.
stream like a bunch being like the only times I ever have time to stream.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, here we go. They are from the Greatest of Britons, and they wrote, awesome podcast, awesome community. This podcast featuring the two wonderful hosts, Tom and Lotus, explores the stories, lore, history, cultures, creativity, and craziness of the Elder Scrolls. Whether you have a passing interest or a deep obsession, you'll love this podcast and constantly learn new things and gain new perspectives. You'll find a new appreciation for the depth of the lore and the imaginative breadth of these games. Fair warning, though, if you listen to enough episodes, you'll want to go play any games in the series you haven't played yet. Words might be hard, but knowledge, laughter, and friendly people are easy to come by in the Lorecast community. That's awesome. It's a wonderful review of the show, but not just the show, the awesome community of people who get together and play these games and join our Discord and hang out in the chats and all sorts of stuff. So thank you for taking the time to do that. If you would like to get your words on the show, then leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it out in the future. You can also rate the show on Spotify, whatever other platforms you listen to this on. If they have the ability to do that, you can tell your friends. You can play Skyrim with your mom. Any of that stuff would, maybe not the last one, help us out. So thanks for being here. Let's move on with the rest of the show.
You're listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, dear child of cities. That is why the Night Mother loves you.
All right, Lotus, you ready for this one? You ready for another scary guy? This one's this guy's a big boy.
Would it be a Havocrel?
It is a Havocrel. Can we just call him big old boy?
We could call him Havy.
Havy the big boy. Big boy Havy. Havocrel are blind giants and ill-tempered daedric race that serve as mercenaries in their quest to find their purpose. Don't we all? Thus, they do not have loyalty to any daedric prince and instead take up contracts in hopes of gaining something they desire. Some among them carry titles of nobility, such as Duke and Baron. Just like jazz artists, which is kind of cool.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Like Duke Ellington,
musically inclined,
Count Basie, Though it is unknown if they were granted these ranks through their clients, Havocrel are a solitary race that is rarely seen and have no sense of kinship, ultimately resulting in them detesting others of their own kind. So they don't even get along with each other.
No.
They
just, yeah.
I guess you could make a blind joke and say they can't stand the sight of each other, but that's not going to be a very good joke, so we won't make that joke.
Wow.
Havocrel's height.
I wish we could go back in the podcast and not do that.
Oh no. Havocrel's height are comparable to that of a frost giant, and their blindness is said to be a result of a curse. So all of them bear the same curse. Despite the lack of vision, these daedra have no trouble sensing their whereabouts of those near them. Some opt to use headwear of varying intricacy to cover their eyes, though others show no care for such presentation. These are cool. Let's look at some of the pictures on these. You can see here in the first picture, this is one who doesn't worry about head coverings, and they've got like that reddish Mehrunes Dagon skin thing going on.
Yeah. They're a little goofy looking without the headgear.
Yeah, they are a little goofy. I mean, they're just it's just a big head. They just have like a big regular.
Well, they're pretty intimidating
head.
with the headgear is kind of what it was, because when they were first introduced in Elder Scrolls Online, we saw them with the headgear.
Yeah, like this picture right here. And it looks like a crown. It's, you know what it reminds me of is some of the design work from like the Lord of the Rings movies. Like one of those I don't know, Sauron's crown.
Yeah.
Covering the eyes though with like the spikes that go up. So yeah, they've got kind of that thing going on. This is a picture of one using blazing shield, and it basically looks like it's just on fire.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I feel like that was actually just like a cookout gone wrong, and he's trying to save face here, but
right. Okay,
that's fine.
I thought you were going to say something enlightening, like, yeah, I feel like this is from this dungeon where you come across this guy.
It just seems like he literally tripped and like was like, oops, and like, it doesn't look intentional. He's like upright and sort of like not like standing at attention, but like shocked upright, like I'm on fire. What have I just done?
Kind of hovering too, like hovering off the ground.
Yeah. So yeah.
And then we have this one's some of the artwork that comes out, and he's actually like, I don't know, lifting or throwing a Khajiit in the air and like lashing it with lava. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the cover image of, I don't remember off the top of my head which patch specifically number it was, but it was a dungeon patch type of thing where we first got to see them. And they're pretty cool enemies for the most part. They're very intimidating, as brought up in chat. They're really big height wise by comparison to a lot of other things. But yeah, I find them to be much more. They're a much more intimidating looking thing with the headgear on than just like without, in my opinion. They lose some of the mystique when they don't look like Sauron.
That's true. The red skin and them being giants definitely has this like Mehrunes Dagon thing.
Yeah, they're sort of almost a little generic,
like
looking.
Mini Dagons.
Yeah, they're less arms.
yeah, they're the downgraded version of a Dagon. They're the budget. They're the budget version you get when you're like, oh, I want that. I want the fast one. I want the one with all the
Dagon at home.
Yeah, they're the Dagon at home. That's what it is. There's some other cool information about them too. The treatise Havocrel, Strangers from Oblivion, which is one of the books, provided a much needed expansion of knowledge on the reclusive race. Among the many questions the subject Zekus, I suppose is how you pronounce that, answered was just a glimpse of what his kind may do during their leisure time. Did you ever wonder what Daedra do during their leisure time?
You know what I know about Daedra? I certainly don't.
I generally have a sense of it, and I'm not interested in learning more. Yeah. Well, he described owning a palace of frozen magicka that he retreats to in between the jobs he performs for the Daedric princes. Isn't that quaint? Like, he goes home. He's like, he goes out of work and then he comes home. Of course.
Done for the day.
Yeah, done for the day. Going back to my frozen magic palace. Of course. Now I'm thinking of the movie Frozen. That's totally a different picture, but super weird. Of course, true to their nature, Havocrel are creatures that seek to gain from bargains, and for the knowledge he provided, he requested that the scholar destroy the summoning circle that bound him, leaving Zekus alone with the summoner who would serve as an unwilling plaything. Makes you wonder how this information ended up documented in any form after that happened. But
yeah. I feel like after time alone with that, especially with the specific part being unwilling, that's a little other than how did they even get this information?
Well, it sounds like he summoned one of them and then had a conversation where he told them about his frozen ice palace, but was like, listen, here's the deal. You gotta destroy the portal, the summoning circle. And he's like, okay, and then did it and was like, all right, let's go. And then just like beat him to death or something. So did he write down how did that information get out?
That's what I mean. Did he write it down, then get beaten to death?
Right.
Did he get tortured and this was just his wild ravings at the end?
Or was he like right on the verge of death and this is like the one thing he told somebody who came and found him before he passed away?
I was going to say, was he pulverized and this is just
let me get a healing potion,
what he was able to spout out?
Some healing magic for you. No, don't worry about that. I'm too far gone. Just remember that the Havocrel have ice palaces they retire to after long days of work. I'll miss you. And then they die, and then their soul goes to wherever.
Like, all right, well, I guess I might as well write that down because I wasn't paying that much attention, and it's just like, and then boom, this is the information we got. Or imagine if this was like their best remembering of what he was saying, and like, I was only like 40% paying attention because I was trying not to make sure that I was going to get jumped by said Havocrel.
Right.
So I think he said this, and this is partly not true or something.
Yeah. Also, if there's no more summoning circle and this guy like lives in one of the cities, then the Havocrel just like beats him to death, opens the front door and just starts wandering around.
I assume he just went to the local pub.
He's like, oh, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
Goes to the pub.
It's just, I'm searching for a new ice castle.
I mean, if we've learned anything from games like Skyrim, this is in some secluded dungeon somewhere where this guy was doing things that he didn't want anyone else to see, and then now this creature's
possibly, but
living in that cave or something.
Maybe, but the amount of times that I have been arbitrarily jumped in some of the classic games from things that make no logical sense anyways. Like, I left a tavern once and a flame astronaut came out and just attacked me in the middle of town. Might
have been the same kind of thing.
With all this.
Yeah.
So maybe he just hasn't found his most recent victim.
Maybe there's just a bunch of really dumb mages out there that are just summoning these things, trying to do interviews, getting killed, and now they just wander around Nirn.
I feel like that's almost certainly what happens at least some of the time.
Or at least around Tamriel. Maybe that's a thing. So that's the Havocrel. Again, another one of these big monsters that shows up in the dungeons or wherever, and you fight them, and it's kind of their thing. Not a whole lot of other detail. One of the things I do like about the fact that we have so much diversity in these kinds of creatures because of ESO is seeing if they get incorporated in the next big Elder Scrolls game.
Yes. Like, are they going to carry on? Because some of these creatures that we've discussed, both in Elder Scrolls Online, because there's just so many and they're constantly being added and stuff like that, the breadth of it is a little more involved. But we've seen either, and we mention it all the time, sometimes we see variations of them from game to game when when they're kind of like consistent. Sometimes they're dropped entirely from the series. Sometimes they're just in specific games, but not in other games. Like, so it's kind of weird. It's almost just like this bestiary just gets filled out and is available. It'll be curious because ESO being the the longest one getting perpetually added content,
and with the most content. Right. At this point, there's more ESO content than any single other game.
Sure. So it's like, are we going to see that kind of spill out going forward into Elder Scrolls 6? Or
I think we
really just cool. got that Castles game type of thing, which doesn't seem, I haven't played it yet because it's not on my platform, but I can't imagine there's going to be a lot of deep lore in that. But are these creatures going to expand out? Because I find it fascinating how much things either evolve or change throughout the series, where it's just like, when I tell people Clan Fears used to talk when we talked about them, and it's like, that's just a weird feature that was just dropped. That's just not a thing anymore. So
yeah, that's true. All right. So a weird feature. Let's talk about our final daedric creature. This one is called the Hellhound, and it only appears in Arena. This is one of the creatures.
Sure does.
Only in Arena. The first game in the series. Doesn't come back. Is similar to like a nightmare animal, but is specifically called a Hellhound. And it is a demonic canine from the Nether Planes. This is Arena, so they weren't saying Oblivion yet, and they weren't saying Daedra. So demonic Nether Planes, usually summoned by some powerful being to perform a service, just like many other Daedra. They can attack with their powerful jaws or fire breath. Wonderful. They can be found near lava. Despite superficial similarities, they bear no relation to nightmare animals. See also Deathhound and Doom Wolf. Yeah, so just spooky good boys, as Outlander Frog says in chat. And check this out. Look at that.
Pretty much.
Look at that. All of 126 by 84 pixels.
Wow.
GIF.
I was going to make a joke about it being 200 pixels.
It's not even 200. I mean, I guess if you multiply the two together, but no,
the whole
one
creature,
side.
But I was not. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yep. It's 8 kilobytes in size. This file. I bet. Did you remember playing Arena? Or you know how those old games in like the 80s and 90s came on floppy disks and then eventually on CDs? And Arena was old enough that I bet it was released both on CD and then on like 12 floppies or something.
You are correct. I have the floppy disks over there as well as the CD version. So the floppy disks were in the original launch. And then you got an upgraded version for the deluxe edition, which came out a little afterwards. That was a CD version.
Right.
And
so
it had speaky bits for the FMVs.
Oh yeah, for your sound blaster, so you can play actual sound
blaster. Yes.
Yeah. Do you know how many floppies are in there? Roughly?
I believe it was 8.
8? Okay. Yeah, that tracks.
It was 6 or 8. It was a decent little chunk of them. I don't know offhand, but I think it was 6 or 8 floppies.
Yeah. So each one of those floppy disks could hold a total of 144 megabytes, if I remember correctly. So that means if that was 8 floppies that were at like 10, it was 144, so that would be 1,000 megabytes total. So this little GIF is 8 kilobytes, and is still a significant percentage of that total amount. Man, oh my God, that's so crazy. Games. But anyway, back to Hellhounds. There's not a whole lot else to say other than they show up. They're spooky looking dogs.
And they're
glowy
like
red
super
eyes.
Just generic, like
all black
evil wolf. In Arena specifically, referring to those ones and not like the weird variants that Doom Wolves and stuff like that.
Yeah, Doom Wolves look very similar. Like you can get mounts and stuff. You can see like the little pups in ESO. They're like regular wolves. They're like actual wolves, right? Like they're animals. They just happen to have black fur and red glowy eyes. The Hellhound is almost more like a demonic. It's totally black. Like it's almost like a ghost.
Yes,
sort of thing. And then the Death Hounds are different because if you think about Skyrim, like they show up in Skyrim with like the vampires would have them. Remember that? And yes. They've got like crazy looking, lots of teeth. They almost don't even look like dogs anymore. So it's all slightly different from each other.
Yeah, they are. And honestly, the only real reason they were such a threat in Arena is when they mentioned the little like flame breath thing. In that game, they would basically just machine gun you with fire spells, like fireballs. It would just like chain gun at you, and their lives revolved around literally sitting behind a door waiting for you to open it or another adventurer, and that's it. They just stare at that door for their moment in life, and there's nothing else.
This is my Cerberus moment. Yes.
Yeah. So they were actually kind of annoying because I had very low Magicka resistance, but they also I guess for the time doesn't really matter, but they're very dumb because they could be too close to their own fireballs and it would blow them up too. They can inflict self-damage with it.
That's great.
So,
that's great.
Yeah. So that was how I usually tried to take them down, was using my face to block all the damage and let them blow up on their own.
I'm going to get hit anyway. Might as well let them blow themselves up. Yeah. Yeah. So that's Hellhounds. So that's the last of our daedric creatures for this episode. This episode went fast. This was a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised this one kind of went fast. I mean, I guess none of them were super involved, but I was going to say each one had a little bit of information to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So some cool stuff. We still have a bunch more daedric creatures to get through on future episodes, and we'll be digging more into these in future weeks. So keep coming back. We're going to eventually get through all of the ones that are listed.
Yeah. Well, I would say all the notable ones, but every now and then we're tossing in kind of like a, hey, this exists. Right. Honestly, the Hellhound is kind of like a, hey, this exists.
I think that's fun though, because a lot of people haven't played Arena, and just be here's one that only shows up here, and they didn't bring it back anywhere else.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's a lot of fun. But thank you for joining us, everybody, and we'll be back next week with another daedric creature episodes for Spooptober. Stay safe out there. Lotus, you got anything else going on you want to share?
No, I've just been very, very busy. We are hoping to do an episode of Tales very soon for everybody, because we kind of had 2 weeks and then we recorded 2 in a week, and then now we're like a week and a half. But there has been some news, not to deluge people with it here because this isn't really a news show, but we'd mentioned briefly that there is a new phone game currently in early access called The Elder Scrolls Castles, which looks fine.
It seems fine. It's like a Fallout Shelter kind of game. We talked a little bit about it on the last episode.
Right. Yeah. And it's like that. So, cool. Curious as that gets fleshed out to a full launch, what we'll have there. There've just been some, minor things, but nothing too major as we prepare for Elder Scrolls Online's next patch coming up. So
and Necrom's been on sale for half off lately.
Yes, because there is an event going on in Elder Scrolls Online right now.
Really close, I think it was within
96%.
Yeah, within just a few percentage points of. And if you help out, or I guess everybody who owns Necrom.
Everybody who owns Necrom will get it as long as you've logged in at least once.
And there's some cool rewards. There's
yes. So there's a pet. There's a house.
The house is the big one at the end. It's like an outfit, a pet, and then
the
a
outfit.
House.
That's the other one. Yeah, and then on top of that, by turning in this quest that is repeatable in game currently, you are picking which bonus gift you would like, whether it's a housing furnishing of this eerie tome thing, or if you want to get a music box for your house. And right now the tome is winning by a lot. So
cool stuff if you play ESO. Lots of things to do there as usual.
Well, it might be body markings actually.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm very bad at cosmetic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool stuff. I actually have been so busy with other games this summer that I haven't finished Necrom yet. So I need to go back and play some more Necrom. So maybe we'll be doing that sometime in the future. Also, thank you for the raid, Odin. Odin's raiding us in our stream. Thank you to everybody who hangs out in the Twitch chat, twitch.tv/robotsradio for these episodes most all the time. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern on Pacific time. Time zones are weird. And anything else going on, Lotus?
No, that's pretty much it. Just busy. Very soon, at least, but I don't really have the ability to go too much into it yet. So I hate doing weird teases, but stay tuned. We're starting to prepare for the yearly Extra Life Marathon.
Nice.
So that will be coming up. I've been talking to people over at Bethesda and Zos and the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, as we will be kind of getting prizes ready and stuff for when we hit milestones for the charity. But yeah, that's getting close to the end of the year when I try to do one of those. It will most likely be in December this year, but more details on the horizon, as it's a great cause. And, always a
lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. And I play some of the weirder games based on people's preferences.
And then you suffer because we donate money for a good cause. And then we all enjoy the suffering.
Yes. Last year, I ruined my ESO character for quite some time.
Yes, you did.
But it was worth it.
We'll share more as that gets closer. That's always cool, and it's always a wonderful cause. So stay tuned for some of that stuff. If you are interested in finding more contents, then of course I've got other shows. If you're into other Bethesda games, the Starfield Lorecast, the Fallout Lorecast. If you like Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings Lorecast. I do lots of fun stuff. All of it at robotsradio.net, and there are a bunch of other hosts with their own shows, so you can check out a whole bunch of content over there. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back next week. And until next week, I guess stay safe out there and don't summon a Daedra into your place and then make a deal with them to remove the freaking portal. Terrible idea. We'll see you next time.
Not the best.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach me on Twitter at robots_radio or Lotus of Doom at Lotus of Doom. Also, you can join us on the Robots Radio Discord channel. You can easily just search Robots Radio Discord on Google or check the description underneath the podcast. Also, this podcast is recorded live every week on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on the Robots Radio channels on Twitch, YouTube, and on Facebook. So just search Robots Radio on any of those platforms. Come join us. We'd love to chat with you while we record the show, or before or after. Either way, just come hang out with us. And if you're looking for more information about my shows and the shows on the Robots Radio Network, go to robotsradio.net for all the information about all the shows on the network, including the Robots Radio Rocket Club, where I help both new and existing podcasters to grow their shows, build their audiences, and create the best podcasts they possibly can. All of that at robotsradio.net. We'll see you next time.